purpose does the gentleman from Florida seek recognition, Mr. Gaetz?
Strike the last word.
Gentleman's recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And at the outset of my remarks, I would want to state that I have great respect and admiration for the gentleman from Rhode Island and the ranking member, and I would never seek to impugn their motives. I believe that they sincerely believe the arguments that they are making, though they're not particularly winning them with the American people. My friend from Rhode Island said that Donald Trump stole the election. What the American people continue to see in this...
I did not say Donald Trump stole the election. What I said was
I believe
there's ample evidence of...
Regular order.
I will happily yield to the gentleman from Rhode Island to clarify his comments.
I did not say Donald Trump stole the election. I said it is very clear from our intelligence communities that the Russians interfered with the American presidential election with the specific purpose of assisting Donald Trump and undermining Hillary Clinton in a very sophisticated way. And we should investigate that and be sure that Trump had nothing to do with that.
Reclaiming my time, is the gentleman insisting that the word stole an election did not appear directly before and after one another in his remarks?
I don't remember the precise wording I used. My point is
reclaiming my
the
time.
intelligence committee has made that point, and we ought to investigate it.
The gentleman from Florida has the time.
I appreciate that, Mr. Chairman. The gentleman from Rhode Island did say stole an election, and those are very provocative words. No election was stolen. It was won by Donald Trump, and it was lost by Hillary Clinton. And just as Hillary Clinton and the Democrats lost the election, you are losing this argument. That's not my position. That is reflected in all of the public polling. CBS News just reported that over half of the country disapproves of the way that Robert Mueller is handling the investigation. 54% of the American people believe that the Mueller investigation is politically motivated. And so if it was really all the problem with the Republicans interfering and undermining, why is it that my Democratic colleagues can't seem to convince the American people of that point? Perhaps one of the reasons that Democrats are losing this argument is that even the Inspector General, a Democrat, said in response to Mr. Jordan's questions during open hearing that he's never seen anything like this, where you have the senior leadership of essentially the entire FBI that has to move out, be fired, demoted, reassigned, referred for criminal prosecution as a consequence of their conduct that was exposed and highlighted by the Inspector General and by members of this committee who've been outspoken on the issue. I want to also bring our attention to the comments of the Deputy Attorney General, Mr. Rosenstein, who is in many ways the subject of the underlying legislation, which I'm proud to join Mr. Meadows and Mr. Jordan and General Perry in sponsoring, and also the amendment that Mr. Jordan has offered. Mr. Rosenstein walks Bob Mueller into the Oval Office and recommends Mueller to be the replacement for Jim Comey. During the course of that interview, it becomes very clear that Mr. Mueller will not be getting his own job back. Not 24 hours passed from that meeting to when Rod Rosenstein then appoints Mueller to investigate the president. I don't know a single American who believes that it's fair to have someone investigate you if you just turned them down for their own job back the day before. It would seem with all the talented people we have in the Department of Justice and the legal community in this country, anyone else could have been picked. But for some reason, Rosenstein chose Mueller. And now, as we're being appropriately assertive in our oversight function, we continue to see Rod Rosenstein frustrate that oversight. On May 1st, Rod Rosenstein actually said, there's actually not a constitutional basis for oversight. That should be appalling to Republicans and Democrats. If we believe in this institution, this committee, to be able to go and conduct oversight, to determine if people are following the law or not, we have to be able to get documents. And when we have the Deputy Attorney General, who is the custodian of those very documents, saying he doesn't even believe in our basis for oversight, that ought to unite us as a committee to stand up for the Article I powers that are vested in us to appropriate funds and then ensure that those funds are being used in accordance with the law. The amendment here brings us from a point to where several of us on the Judiciary Committee have been forcefully making the argument for oversight and for documents to bring that question to the full House. I believe that all members of Congress should have the choice. Are we going to believe that at the end of the day, it's unelected people like Rod Rosenstein who get to decide whether their own conduct is proper or not proper? Or should it be the elected representatives of the people in the Congress, in the whole Congress, that will stand forward and demand documents? Because otherwise, oversight will be frustrated not only for Republicans in control, but ultimately one day, I presume Democrats will control the Congress, and I would stand with you to ensure that you have the ability to exercise your oversight. And so, for the sake of the institution, I support the underlying legislation and the amendment, and I yield back.
For purposes of the gentleman from California, seek recognition.